Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Friday Ramblings. I am, as always, your host, the Bardic one, busting out the winter lumberjack beard, because all things must be kept warm, including the face. No chili here. That's right, folks, we are on the eve of December, which means it's only going to get colder outside, but more awesome here on the channel, because we are getting to the end of the year and waist deep in the holidays, which means you and I are going to keep having fun every Friday talking about the greatest things in entertainment. So naturally, as we sit here in the official between Thanksgiving and Christmas zone, the prime family holiday zone, we're going to discuss a classic family comedy that is brought to you straight from the 80s and features two of the great comedians of the 80s. That's right. For those of you who love staring at my thumbnail and reading that title until memories trigger you, or even Google Fooing if you don't know what I'm talking about yet, we're reviewing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So what do you need to know about this movie? Well, let's get through the hard data first. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was released in November of 1987 and was directed, written, and produced by John Hughes. This being the first movie he did outside of the teen comedies that he first made his name big on, and therefore was a major piece of the puzzle when it came to him establishing his credentials as one of the all-time great directors. It stars Steve Martin and John Candy, was distributed by Paramount Pictures, has a running time of 92 minutes, so hey, it's pretty easy to squeeze into your family schedule festivities should you like to check this movie out after our discussion on it. Was set with a budget of $30 million and grossed $49.5 million at the box office, so the movie was a hit. It did generate a profit. Not a massive profit, but you know what? Especially in the 80s, people weren't obsessed nearly as much with lighthearted comedies like this being massive profit makers, so all's good. More importantly, it was very well critically received. So what's the plot? Well, as you can probably guess, it does involve all manners of vehicles. This movie is a variant on the classic road trip movie. Road trip movies, of course, being when two buddies are traveling from one place to another and get into various shenanigans. The difference between this and your classics road trip movies, such as your... Oh, God. Excuse me. I'm having a horrible brain short circuit this moment. Let me... There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. As I was saying, your penultimate road trip movies are pretty much always going to be the Road to blank 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 film series starring Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. All apologies to Bing Crosby fans as well as his family. That was the name I was blanking on. You know, you would think with a really unique name like Bing Crosby, it wouldn't be so forgettable, but hey. Brain short circuit moment, it happens. Still, we're not going to talk about those movies today. We could definitely discuss the Road to series on another day. We are talking about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Now, the difference in this movie to the Road To's is that the characters that are portrayed by Steve Martin and John Candy are not friends at the start of the journey. because that is one of the great aspects of the journey itself and the story of the movie. Steve Martin is Neil Page, a high-strung marketing executive. John Candy plays Del Griffith, a good-hearted but kind of annoying shower curtain ring salesman. Because let's face it, I love John Candy, one of the all-time great comedians. I think over the years, due to how long it's been since he has unfortunately passed on, a lot of people do not think of him instinctively when they think of great comedians that are good at playing that, kind-hearted, but kind of unintentionally obnoxious character. He's kind of been eclipsed over the years by actors like Chris Farley, who is unfortunately no longer with us. In many ways, Chris Farley was probably the next generation of John Candy. I don't usually like to compare, but if you look at their roles and a lot of the characters they played in film, you will see some similarities in the humor. Chris Farley's humor was generally more physically demanding and pratfall-based, whereas John Candy's was more of the psychological awkwardness. Characters at their best would often be caught putting their foot in their mouth and thus having to stumble around getting their foot out of their mouth, which is a great summary of Del. So, Neil and Del are both away from home days before Thanksgiving. Neil frantically tries to rush to the airport to make his plane so he can get back to his family in Chicago for Thanksgiving. He bumps into Del a couple times, including on the plane, and immediately takes a disliking to the man. But bad news continues to stroll along as, due to horrible weather in Chicago, the plane diverges to it's Wisconsin. Does it say specifically? No, excuse me, Wichita. Wichita, Kansas. I had the WI part right. But the plane diverts to Wichita, which is the nearest major airport that was not suffering under the inclement weather. Thus, the bulk of the movie consists of Neil desperately trying to get home for Thanksgiving, finding himself all along the journey stuck with Del, mostly due to the fact that early on they get robbed and thus suffer from some financial burdens. So, they start on a plane, they get on a train, they hitchhike on some automobiles, hence the title of your movie. So wherein lies the comedy? Well, as I said, you got John Candy doing what John Candy does best, being loud, unintentionally obnoxious, and kind-hearted to a fault. Although he does occasionally snap at the high-strung, short-tempered Neil, it is in good intentions, as he is basically defending himself and his own behavior, pointing out at one point that while Neil may not approve of the way he lives his life and the way he treats other people, Del likes himself and his wife likes him, and really that's all that's important in life. And that's a moral lesson we all need to remember. At the end of the day, if you like yourself, and more importantly, you have somebody in your life who loves you as well, frankly, the opinions of the other 99% of the world, they can kind of bugger off. Judge not, lest ye be judged yourself. Apologies are made a few times over. Much good fun is had. Various shenanigans, including the most famous scene. We're going to go ahead and spoilerito this one, because anybody that has spent time watching 80s movies or hanging around with people that enjoy their 80s comedies has no doubt seen reference to this Hell, if you are a Steve Martin fan, you have no doubt seen reference to this scene, in which Neil and Del must share a single bed in a hotel room, and upon waking the next morning, find that they have both out of the habit of typically sharing their bed with a loved one, are snuggled up close with each other, prompting the famous line from Neil of, "Del, where's your hand?" "It's down here between these pillows." "Those aren't pillows." "Ah!" And they both promptly freak out, take a moment to compose themselves, and decide never to speak of this again. I know. Shh, 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 shh. It's okay. I know. Some of you are getting ready to go, "Oh my god, that's homophobic humor." No, it's, I just met this dude less than 24 hours ago, and this is not somebody that I'm immediately attracted to physically, so I really don't want their hand between two things that aren't pillows. That's the humor, the social awkward humor. It's not homophobic humor. Calm down. Don't look for things to be upset about. Yes, it's the 80s. Yes, the humor is not necessarily going to perfectly sync and align with modern social mores. It's okay. It's okay. The movie is, by many standards, family friendly. There's some jokes that the really little kids may not get, but it will not corrupt them. There's no intent by anybody to create offensive content or scandalous content. Let's all just laugh together. Still, it wouldn't be a John Hughes movie if there wasn't just a tiny little bit of drama and angst. So where does it come from? Does it come from Neil's constant, short-tempered, high-stressed out, can't deal with anything that isn't part of his scheduled, habitual life? No. Although Steve Martin does play those characters beautifully. You know, for a guy that did a lot of silly-style stand-up comedy in his early years and can have a pretty chill and highly talented banjo jam session. No, seriously, go look up like Steve Martin banjo on YouTube if you have never seen him. There's a great one with him and Kermit doing dueling banjos. Like, as funny as Steve Martin is, he legitimately could have made a very good money for himself just off his banjo skills. You know, all respect in the world for him to have that much talent in two different major areas, because he is an incredibly funny actor, but he's also a highly skilled banjo player. Yeah, Steve Martin banjo, it is a good time spent on YouTube if you have never done so. No, the angst comes in, and again, this is going to be a bit of a spoiler. I normally try to avoid these with my movie reviews, but it's just kind of something that has to happen, because you can't really discuss this movie and how perfect the ending is and how iconically John Hughes the ending is without going through this, without discussing it. So let's go ahead and lay it out. The two men finally get back to Chicago. Del, who himself does not reside in Chicago, it's proper, but had promised to get Neil home, utilizing his years of travel knowledge, especially traveling on a low budget and with a lot of improv to it, goes to the train station with Neil. Neil gets on the one train. Dell's allegedly getting on the other one that'll take him out of town to his own home and his wife. As Neil's sitting on the train parting ways, he thinks back upon his journey and has a bit of a epiphany. Strewn throughout the movies were various vague and kind of cryptic comments that Dell made that didn't always seem to sync with his story about also needing to get home to his family. Specifically, the fact he's willing to go out of his way to keep helping Neil, even though he usually brushed it off with a simple, hey, this is what my wife loves about me, that I'm a helpful, kind guy. She will understand. This, keyed in with a few other comments, causes Neil to realize the sad truth. Dell has nowhere to go. Dell is not in a hurry to get back to his wife because his wife died several years before. Dell himself is still doing the old school style traveling salesman work because he has no home to go back to at this point. All he has is his work and living on the road. Neil, recognizing that he would not be anywhere close to home, even though it is technically late for Thanksgiving, he got there a lot sooner than he would have left on his own, and that Dell, for all his occasionally annoying faults and mannerisms, kept his word and proved to be a true blue friend, even to somebody he barely knew. So now Neil returns to Dell's side and invites Dell to spend the holidays with his family, thus showing Neil has grown a little as a person and recognizes now that just because somebody does not fit into his big money marketing executive plan and lifestyle doesn't mean he has no use for them. He has learned from Dell. He has seen that Dell has some tears behind his smile, and thus he shows he has a little bit of that Dell kindness in him as well. And that's what you want from a good family holiday movie. Everybody ends up better for the journey. So, does that mean you should go out of your way to find this movie? Yes. Simple fact is, and in no way am I sitting here and trying to completely dismiss an entire generation of comedians, but there will never be another Steve Martin or John Candy. And this movie was made at a time when both men were at their peak of filmmaking. John Hughes took the complete creative reins of the film, guiding it and directing it in a way that not only proved he could do more than teen angst, but gave him the raw credentials to continue to make the kind of movies he wanted to make. You want to know what I'm talking about? Okay, let's give a quick rundown of what John Hughes did after Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And by the way, if you're wondering why you know that name, this is the man that gave us 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, and Weird Science. As director, and also as producer and writer, Pretty in Pink. After Planes, Trains, and Automobile, he tackled the romantic comedy film starring Kevin Bacon and Elizabeth McGovern, She's Having a Baby. Worked again with John Candy in The Great Outdoors and Uncle Buck. Both incredibly funny movies. Definitely going to have to discuss them in the future. In fact, maybe a little closer than you think, because we're all thinking about Dan Aykroyd now that he is back as Ray Stantz. in Ghostbusters Afterlife. See it in theaters. And if you got Dan Aykroyd on the brain, you got to talk his role in The Great Outdoors when it was his turn to play against John Candy. Comedically, of course. But perhaps most iconically, especially when we're talking about holiday movies, he did Home Alone 1 and 2. Along with many other great movies, such as Curly Sue, the first two Beethovens, the 1994 remake of Miracle on 34th Street. Actually, no, excuse me, he did the first three Beethovens. I usually don't think about Beethovens after the first two, because that's when they started going direct to video, and God bless John Hughes, but there's just, once you go direct to video, everything suffers. It's just one of those rules of movie making. And most recently was the story writer for 2008's Drill Bit Taylor. Which, more power to you. Unfortunately, like John Candy, John Hughes is no longer with us. He passed in 2009. Real quick, here is, let's go through the rest of the cast. We have Michael McKean as a state trooper. Michael McKean's famous for Laverne and Shirley. This is Spinal Tap. Chuck McGill on Better Call Saul. Kevin Bacon as a guest spot as a man running for a taxi. Richard Hurd of Home Improvement fame. Was that Richard, or am I thinking of a different one? Wait a minute. No, excuse me, I'm thinking of a different actor. Blip. Excuse me, Richard Hurd, who starred in the miniseries V, Star Trek Voyager, had a guest shot role in Seinfeld, some guest appearances on Quantum Leap. He's done a lot of work in sci-fi movies. Also starred in The China Syndrome alongside Jane Fonda, Jack Lemmon, and Michael Douglas. Excellent actor. I don't know who I was thinking of. Richard Karn, that was it. Excuse me, different Richard. I apologize to both men. Matthew Lawrence as Neil's son. Ben Stein is the Wichita Airport representative. He of the most famous monotone voice in Hollywood. So there you go. If nothing else, you can spend the movie playing, hey, where have I seen that guy before? Where have I seen that girl before? There's some great guest stars and cameos sprinkled all over the place. I know this is a hectic time of year for everybody, but you need to take your time to watch some great entertainment. Relax, let your brain chill, so that you do not turn the entire holiday season into a stress/anxiety marathon. Which is why we are discussing such wonderful movies and actors all the way up through New Year's Eve. That's right, till the end of the year, we are taking it easy. We are discussing nothing but fun, and some of it is even going to be holiday related. Not all of it, but some of it. We might even discuss my favorite Christmas movie series. Not just one. What could I be referring to? You're going to have to watch every week to find out. Yep. The turkey may be consumed, except for what's no doubt going to become turkey sandwiches. Maybe some turkey tetrazzini, depending on how much you have left. Seriously, turkey tetrazzini is an awesome dish. If you have never had it, go look up some recipes for it. Great way to repurpose your Thanksgiving turkey leftovers. You got any stuffing? Send it my way, because I am a stuffing kind of guy. And every Friday, you're going to get a healthy serving of good time entertainment And I suggest you start your holiday fun with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You can find it on physical release, DVDs, Blu-rays, whatevs. I have no doubt that with, like 100 different streaming services all over the place, somebody's going to host it this holiday season. If not, that is a crime. Paramount, you have the distribution rights. You have a streaming app now. If you don't have Planes, Trains, and Automobile on there, you need to get on that. Because everybody should see this movie if they have never seen it. See it once in your lifetime. Do not make me poke you, Paramount. I'll poke you right in your nose. Just jab you, Paramount. Come back in 7 days. We're going to rock it again. Because we're going to be kicking off December officially. And counting down to 2022. Counting down to Christmas. Ringing in the new year. Because we've had our pumpkin pie. And our dinner rolls. Lots of gravy. And the food's gonna keep coming. Well, along with the cheer. Holidays in full gear. Booyah! Because we are here to have fun, folks. We are not here to hate. Any week of the year. Comment, like, subscribe, hang out, chill out. I'll be here every Friday with a new rambling for you. Bye-bye.